So you're welcome. My name is Dr. Kenneth. And Kenneth, I will be taking us on this very brief webinar, which is the third, should be the fourth in our series of webinars for the AI and Data Literacy Challenge. So why did we actually consider this an important one? So many of us have taken some courses in the AI and Data Literacy Challenge. A lot of courses. Some have taken some Python courses, others have taken understanding machine learning, deep learning, and all those stuff. Now, right inside you, inside every one of us, we all have ideas. But ideas don't actually become companies overnight. Or ideas don't actually transform and change lives overnight. So for many of us, we need to build a team to actually bring our ideas into reality. And that is what this particular webinar is all about. So it is set in a situation where you as a healthcare practitioner, you have some ideas that can actually transform healthcare or your clinical practice or your practice in any aspect, whether you are a nurse, a pharmacist, a physiotherapist, a dentist, it doesn't matter. As long as you are operating the life sciences, you're actually a healthcare practitioner, a healthcare professional. So it also applies to students. In fact, I call students also healthcare professionals because in a couple of days or months or years, you are going to join the team. You are going to join the professionals. So this also applies to you. You have an idea, but how do you move from the idea stage? How do you assemble a team to actually do this? So that's the question. You have identified a critical gap in patient care. So because you have domain expertise, you've been able to find out that there is a particular gap. You might still be in the idea stage, or maybe you have even built an initial model that works on your laptop. So you have figured out how it's going to be. You figured out everything, or maybe you are still in the idea stage. So before we proceed, I know there are just few persons on this call. Put in the chat for me if you have an idea or if you have started building something. So put in the chat idea stage or building something. Just write it on the chat. Let me know the proportion of those who are here, whether they are those who just have an idea or those who are already building something. Whether alone or you are building it with any other person, just put it in the chat. So type for me in the chat, idea or product, idea or product, idea or product. Where are you? I want to know because that will define how we want to go. So I see Samuel Ife Buche says, I'm at the idea stage. Jezreel Caputo, idea stage. Precious, idea stage. We have 9 persons here. Type in the chat. Or you can unmute and tell me if you can't type in the chat. Where are you? Because you won't go through this AI and DLC. Good. I see Moses saying building stage. Good, good, good. All right. So at least I've gotten like 4 persons making contribution. Oh, Peter, idea stage. That's perfect. That's great. So it's lovely to see that many people have great ideas already. And a few of us have actually started building. So as you can see, you might still be in the idea stage, or you have built something, or you have just drafted something that's workable. However, it's still with you, or still with a few persons. Now, the big question, which is the core aim of this particular webinar is, how do you turn that brilliant idea into a real world solution that will help the patients, that will help the healthcare professionals, depending on who you are targeting. So we could see from our last webinar, you could target the healthcare professionals providing care. You could target the hospitals, which actually owns the patients. You could target the government. You could target anything. You could target insurance companies. You could target the patients themselves. So whoever you are targeting, how do you go from this idea stage? And one of the core things you need is to build a team. So the problem is not so much about the idea. It's about how you build a multidisciplinary team that you need to transform this idea. But before we dive further, I need to say that I'm not a business or financial consultant. So anything I say here, don't take it to heart so much. If you need financial advice, you consult the right professionals. It's very important to say this. I want us to watch this video. Why healthcare professionals should build AI systems for healthcare. So if you're in a noisy place, quieting down, I want you to watch this video. So it's a TED Talk on YouTube, and I'm going to play it. So if it is not playing well, just let me know quickly so I can fix it, but I believe it should be playing well. So let me play it.
Take a look at this X-ray here. I'm going to give you a medical pop quiz. Does anything look out of place with this X-ray that you can see? What if I told you that there was actually a fracture somewhere in this X-ray? Would you believe me? Well, it turns out that is the case, as shown by this pink box here. That little crinkle there that you see is actually what's called a torus fracture. See, this is a child's hand, this X-ray, and children's bones are more malleable than adult bones. So sometimes when they break their wrist, it's more of a dent or a bend than it is an actual clean break. Now, you might not know to look for things like this, but I only happen to know because I went to medical school. I'm the person that built this artificial intelligence. My name is Logan Nye. I am a research physician at Harvard Medical School, where I develop intelligent systems for healthcare. Or in other words, I'm a physician who codes. And that makes me unique in a couple of ways. One, it makes it so that I'm probably the biggest nerd that you've ever met in your life. It's quite the overlap. But also, it gives me a unique vantage point for creating artificial intelligence for medical diagnostics in healthcare. Usually when you develop artificial intelligence, you have developers and you have domain experts, and there's some crosstalk, and they develop these sorts of algorithms. But I want to show you some insights as to why it's helped me to be someone with scientific domain knowledge that just learns how to develop artificial intelligence directly. So to do so, I'm going to share some examples from my research at MGH from the past year. Here we have two images of histology, meaning the cells under a microscope. They look pretty similar, right? These are both showing cartilage tissue, but not just any cartilage tissue. They're both tumors. On the left, we have enchondroma, which is a benign condition. It's just a clump of cells that you don't need any particular medical care for. You just keep an eye on it for the rest of your life. But on the right-hand side, we have low-grade chondrosarcoma. It looks almost identical, but it's vastly different results. Low-grade chondrosarcoma is very aggressive and needs to be treated aggressively. It requires surgery, often amputation, and cautery of the wound that you scrape out. So obviously it's important to know the difference between these two. But historically, we've been about 50% reliable in telling them apart on histology. I know about this because I'm in medicine, and it's a widely known problem. But because I also happen to know how to build artificial intelligence systems, I realized that this is great for image classification, a computer vision problem. And so over the course of an afternoon, we built a computer vision program that took our diagnostic accuracy between these two different tumor types from around 50% to 75 to 90%. It was a long-standing problem for several decades, but if we apply AI and know how to apply it in a clinical context, we can solve those long-standing problems in a short course of time. And there's other applications as well. Take these knee MRIs. These are showing different ACLs, or anterior cruciate ligaments, that get torn. Using computer vision, we can automatically find where and when they're torn. On the left-hand side, we have a healthy ACL. In the middle, we have a completely ruptured ACL. And on the right-hand side, the AI systems that we develop are able to tell that it's only partially torn. This is another way that computer vision can be applied within healthcare. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have scaphoid fractures. We're able to detect lumbar disc herniations when people have back pain and need to localize where their nervous system is being pressed on. We're able to get fractures in arm areas, foot and ankle, hips, and we're even able to quantify osteoarthritis in knees to tell people when they should be considering getting a knee replacement. All this is possible because we apply artificial intelligence from a clinical standpoint. In our lab, we've also worked on cancer diagnostic systems similar to the enchondroma problem, but applied to over 30 different other soft tissue tumors. And not just soft tissues, but 15 or more bone tumors as well. We're continuing to expand and experiment with these different applications in the clinical context. Again, made possible because we know what to look for and thus how to build AI. And in some cases, when you have rare diseases, you lack the data to create these useful artificial intelligence programs. Or enchondroma is an example of this, that first tumor that we looked at. But thanks to generative AI, we can bridge that gap in the scarcity of medical data that exists. This histology image of enchondroma actually doesn't exist. It was generated by AI. But because we know that that's a gap that exists in clinical care, we can leverage AI to fill those needs. Now, you might ask, why is this important? I can tell you why it's personally important and why I became interested in developing artificial intelligence. During medical school, I had the opportunity to participate in global health trips. One of them was to sub-Saharan Africa. The people there are incredible, and they do awesome things with what they have, but there's no denying that they lack resources. We would drive all the way out into the bush, and we would spend all day working with the types of supplies that you'd find at Office Max or Home Depot to care for patients. But one thing that I noticed was that the medical staff used iPads to record all their patient data. They had access to smartphones. And again, when I went to the Himalayas, we treated all sorts of patients in far reaches across the Himalayan mountain range. And they lacked those resources, but they all had smartphones. So anybody that has a smartphone is able to access artificial intelligence systems and thus get proper care. And so that's what we're working on. We're working on apps and APIs that we can open source, make available to anybody, anywhere. If you have internet access and if you have a smart device, we can democratize our medical expertise to those who most need it, preventing the need to travel for days or even weeks to get the care that they need. And so I would encourage other people that are domain experts, whether it be in medicine, law, education, whatever, to try to find ways to use artificial intelligence to amplify your expertise.
Okay, so I'll stop the video here so that we look at other things. So I want you to put in the chat, what major thing did you learn from what you just heard from now? Put it in the chat. I want to know those who actually heard or listened to this. What exactly did you learn from this guy's talk, Logan Nyai? What was the major takeaway from this particular video? He's a doctor. He said so. He said a lot of things, but at least mention one or two takeaway that you actually got from what you heard him say. So you can unmute yourself and say that, or you can just put it in the chat. I want to be sure that we're actually on the same page. So I'm looking at the chat. I've not seen any. I'm also looking to see those who will unmute. Okay, yeah, I get you. So go ahead.
Okay, sir. Some takeaways that I got from what he said. First of all, he emphasized the importance of clinicians incorporating artificial intelligence into their daily practice. Like the radiograph he showed that has a subtle fracture, we were able to use artificial intelligence to detect it in that child. And then he talked about other places that he went to, like African, how they have smartphones, but they don't have access to all those medical, like they lack resources. So it was like that their aim, they are trying to make it in a way that anywhere you are, you'll be able to access artificial intelligence so that you'll not be traveling a long way to get medical care and all that. So his main focus is how to push artificial intelligence to underdeveloped countries so that everybody can have the same access to healthcare.
All right. Thank you so much. That was great. Any other person who has anything to say? Does any other person have anything to say with respect to what you learn? Okay, having a domain knowledge is important in building AI solutions. I saw that from Moses.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Good evening.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. So what I understood was that It is important for healthcare professionals to build these AIs because they understand, like they understand. So because they understand the complexities of like the healthcare space, and like they are trained already, they have the knowledge, they understand like medical processes, they understand cancers, they understand diseases and all that. It is very important for them to like be a part of building these AIs. So that's just what I was able to get.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So the healthcare professionals in this case already understand what to look for and what to innovate. So think of it like those images he showed us. If someone is not a healthcare professional, and even if he's a healthcare but he's not in pathology department, that thing will look like black and white to the person. But a healthcare professional already knows what to look for and knows where to actually target the innovation. So that was a very good takeaway. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. You just hit the nail at the head. Good. So I saw from Precious, in Africa, we don't have much resources for very good healthcare, but since we have smartphones, that is a very, very important takeaway. So many people will tell you not everybody has phone, not everyone has phone. But let me tell you the truth. There is no doctor who doesn't have a phone. Show me a single doctor who doesn't have a smartphone in this age and time. Is that possible? It's almost like 99% of all doctors in Africa have a phone at least. And the percentage of patients who have phones is ever increasing. So don't get carried away by people who will tell you that not everybody has a phone. It's not the truth. A lot of people are beginning to use phones. And there are a lot of ways to adapt innovations that they can actually get to people who have limited internet connectivity. So those shouldn't be the barrier. So the essence of this video was to show us that healthcare professionals should be involved. Whether they code or not, they should be involved in building these solutions because they have the domain expertise. But having the domain expertise and having the knowledge is not enough because you may not even be able to code like this guy that just talked now. The guy that just presented, that did his presentation. You may not be able to code like him, but you may be able to code. We have people in this community who can do all those things he's doing. So I'm like one of them. I can build solutions. I can build those intelligence platforms. But you might not be able to do that right now at the moment. But of course, you are growing in it. We have people who are already medical students and they are working for companies. Remember the presenter who came on board yesterday? He's working for more than 3 companies. I mean, 3 companies that are funded and are real, making money, funded by international companies. And one of those who will be talking to us on Saturday is there in Nigeria. He's working for a South African AI company. He's in final year medicine. So you could see medical students, 2 people in our team, MIT team, are working for top companies in Africa, digital health companies in Africa, building their AI systems. So don't ever think that you cannot do it. You can do it even as a student or even as a healthcare professional. All right, so let's not get carried away. Let's continue what we are saying because we still have some things to say. All right, so where am I? Okay, so we're done with this. So do you really need to code? Do you really need to be able to like do the coding, build the AI code itself? My say is that you don't really need to, but having this is a great advantage. Why is it a great advantage? This guy could immediately start building some of these things without waiting for that AI engineer from computer science to like speak with him and then form a team. He's already building. And then when he has built something, he can now bring in a team. He can bring in the team members to work on what he's doing. But because of his insight, his domain knowledge, he already knows what he's looking for. He knows what he's trying to like innovate. So what if you cannot code? You will need a team around you from day one because you really need to bring it around a team to be able to do a lot of things. Good. So this is a tale of 2 companies. and an ophthalmologist friend. So in 2018, I built a company called MedHub Africa, which was a teleradiology company. Teleradiology company allows you to send X-ray images, CT scan images, and MRIs across divides to other countries or to faraway places from the place it was acquired, and have the radiologists view them, interpret them, and send you the results. So how it works, like I'm now in Canada. So a center could have done like 20 X-rays in a day. Then they send it over to me. Now, during the night, because you are in the night now, I am in the day. Like it's just like 1, 2 here. So since I'm still awake, I am able to like do those things during my waking hours. Once you wake up, it's ready for you. So there is no delay. So that's what teleradiology actually does. So I built this company, but when I built this company, I didn't have any coding knowledge. I didn't know what it was about selecting the right team members. So I selected a bunch of my colleagues whom I thought could actually push this company, MedHub Africa. And because I built it the wrong way, I didn't have the right team, I didn't have any coding knowledge, this company barely survived. It's still working now, but it's not at capacity again. Fast forward to 2025, I'm now building something different called Frontier Medics. And it's something far better because now I have coding knowledge. Now I have onboarded the right team, and we are developing at a faster rate. A friend of mine in the year 2023 met me when I was still around in FMC Umaya. So he asked me, he told me, he approached me that he has this passion of building a solution for glaucoma in Africa. That he see a lot of people who have glaucoma, he doesn't really know. But he has an idea, a solution that he can actually build that can save these people. That he doesn't know how to code, he doesn't know how to even start. I have tried contacting him in the last 1 week, and I have not been able to get a hold of him. So many of us are like this friend of mine. They have ideas, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know where and how to like even start. And these are the kind of people this presentation is actually for. All right. So what is this webinar for? In this webinar, you are going to learn the essential roles you need when you are building a team around your idea. You are going to know how the actionable strategies for assembling your minimum viable team. Now, before we started, remember I asked for those who already have an idea or those who are already building something. Some people actually say they're already building something. So in building stuff, in building this kind of stuff, you have what we call the minimum viable product. The minimum viable product is that like the smallest unit of your product, your prototype that can actually work and provide that solution you are building. It could be like it's the skeleton of that product, but it works. That's the minimum viable product. But aside the minimum viable products you can build, after which you can now call upon investors, you build upon it, you flesh it out, you make it look better. That's your minimum viable product. For it to go from that minimum viable product or even the idea, you need what is called a minimum viable team. So there is a concept of the minimum viable team. What is that team that you need to be able to like vet your ideas, to bring them to fruition? You cannot do it alone. You may do a lot, but the truth is that there is no way one person can do everything that is required to actually give birth or to actually actualize any innovation, to bring it to fruition. No single person can do that alone. And that is where we are heading to. Now, you also learn the critical soft skills that a team needs. These are not individual soft skills, but soft skills of the team, of your minimum viable team that you require. And you also learn how to start gathering this minimum viable team so that your idea can move from idea to a minimum viable product to a solution. All right. So who are the people? Who are those who make up your minimum viable team? What are the roles? Do you need all of them to even start? As you can see, you don't even need everyone to start. In the beginning, you who have the idea, who is a healthcare professional, can actually, like juggle several roles together, in one. So let's say that you are just three of you. Three of you can share those roles. But if you have one person for each role, it makes for better efficiency. But if you don't have everyone who can fit into all these roles I'm going to mention now, good and fine, just share it. You can juggle those roles. In fact, many startups actually start by, the founding members actually juggling many roles at the same time. All right, so the first role, the number one role, is the clinical visionary, and that is you. You that typed on the chat that you have an idea. You are the visionary for that particular idea. So you are the subject matter expert. You own the clinical problem because you are in, just like the third presenter that we just listened to. He is in the problem. He sees the problem every day. He knows how the problem operates. He knows that it can actually be like improved. Unlike a computer scientist looking at those images, he doesn't even understand what they mean. But you, the subject matter expertise, you are the visionary. You are to define the why, and you are the ultimate authority on that solution. Because your clinical insight is actually the most valuable asset that solution has. So you see some people, just like our presenter yesterday mentioned, you see some big companies like Google and that. Before they build any of these solutions in healthcare, of course, they bring in a clinical team to be able to do this. And you have seen solutions that were built without healthcare professionals actually fail, because when they actually begin to implement it, it's out of tune with what is actually obtainable in healthcare. So you are the clinical visionary, and you have great roles to play, and we'll come to your roles, your ultimate role finally. But aside you, there are other people, or there are other roles that must be played. So you need a product manager. That is, from day one, you can assume to be the product manager. So you are seeing your solution as a product already. Someone needs to assume the role of a product manager, whether it is your founder or somebody you are already talked with and you are building together with the person. Apart from you, who is the clinical visionary of the product, who actually tries to align whatever is being built to core realities in healthcare, you need a product manager. This product manager mustn't be a healthcare professional. But of course, if he's a healthcare professional, the better, because he is to prioritize the features and tasks based on the clinical needs and the technical feasibility. And it's this product manager that ensures the communication between all the team members that are going to be involved in building this. He also creates the roadmap. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot assume the role of a product manager or the business development expert. You can, but the product manager or the business developer, the development expert can actually be a separate person. And we'll talk more about the business development later on, and how the role of the product manager actually overlaps with that of the business developer. Now, this is the technical architect, the role 3. So the one who is building the front end, the back end, the application, the web solution, the one who does all these things, who builds the app, who builds all these things with codes, is actually the technical architect. So he might be your chief technology officer, the CTO. Now, as a healthcare professional, you don't know what is CSS. How many of us here know what is CSS to start with? Who knows what is CSS? Does anyone here know what is CSS?
I have a brief idea.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So what is CSS?
I think CSS is just like a software for designing a website.
That's too vague. Yeah, there are many software. There are many CSS. There are many things. Yeah. Okay, Hassan, can you try?
Is just like a language. It's like a language that they use to design, I think, the font or the beautification part of a website. The font also.
Good. So the styling, the CSS does the styling of the app the website, the solution, the front end of it, to style it. Why HTML builds the backbone. But tell me, many of us here don't even know what is HTML. We don't know what is CSS. How can you don't know what is a JavaScript? Do you understand? You don't know what is Django. You don't know what is all this technical stuff. So you need someone who knows that language and be able to build it. Interestingly, some healthcare professionals, some medical students, some nurses, some pharmacists, even their students know all these things and can do it very well. So you could see that many healthcare professionals are beginning to juggle both roles of the clinical visionary as well as the technical expert. In fact, someone in our community, I think that was Nsube, told me that he's learning every aspect. So he wants to be full stack. He wants to learn everything that is required to build a solution without having anyone, involved. But the truth is that you are still seeing patients. You are busy. You are still doing your healthcare. We are not actually telling you to leave healthcare entirely. And that's one mistake some people do. They prematurely, they leave their healthcare practice and jump into health tech. And they get disappointed because they don't make it immediately. They now see that some of their colleagues who are still in healthcare are making more money than them. You mustn't leave your healthcare practice to become the all and all, because you can't actually be the all and all in healthcare, in health tech. That is the truth. You have different roles, and it will be very difficult for you with the background you have in healthcare to actually assume all the roles that is required to build any product. You need team. You can leverage your team to compensate or to provide for those abilities you don't have as a clinical visionary to build your product. So you need a technical architect, the CTO, the chief technology officer, and he does so much. He's the one talking about the database, the front end. Some of them can even build the AI model or all sorts of things. So this role is very important. So it's a role that you should be thinking about. Okay, let's go to the next role. We'll put all these things together at the end. Now, the AI builder. So let's say, because why are we separating the AI builder from the chief technology officer? Now, the AI builder, because we are talking of AI and data literacy challenge. And that's why we separated this particular role. But the CTO can actually be the AI builder. But let's say the CTO doesn't have AI expertise, because many people who build softwares, who build apps and websites cannot build AI systems. They cannot build AI models. So the person we just heard talking to us in that video didn't know anything about website building or app building. That's why he said that he's talking about some key APIs that could actually put it inside a smartphone. But he was an ML engineer to be able to build those AI algorithms that could read those images. So now some of us are already tending towards becoming ML engineers, data scientists. We already know what is data science. We know what is machine learning. We know what is artificial intelligence. So we could actually be part of those who build the AI itself, as well as be the clinical visionary. But assuming we are just the clinical visionary, but we cannot build the models ourselves, we need someone who can build it. And the truth is that many people who are already becoming ML engineers while still, medical students, is happening. I have a lot of them. So people like Abdulhamid Dere, who is one of our mentors, is already an ML engineer working for AI companies in Africa. We have people like, what's his name? Abjibade, who is working for multiple AI companies. He's a medical student. He's an ML engineer. So he can serve as the visionary as well as the AI builder. And in some cases, some of these people even have the technical know-how to serve as the CTO, the chief technology officer, and be able to build with those languages I just mentioned. But you don't need to be all these things at once, but you need people in all these domains with all this expertise, with all these roles to be able to build their solution. So let's go on. All right. So when you build an ML solution, you need to deploy it. So there is what is called the DevOps engineer. You need the cloud infrastructure engineer. So it's either you bring in these people into your team or you hire them and pay them when you finally begin to like deploy your solution. So all these roles must not be in your core team, but they can actually be hired and paid for. So in as much as you have the idea, you need all those things. You need all these things. You need a cloud and infrastructural engineer, because you may not know anything about DevOps, but you need DevOps to be able to manage the deployment in healthcare. You actually need a DevOps engineer. To be able to put it in the cloud so that everything takes place in the cloud, you need a cloud engineer to be able to do that. I hope this is making sense. Now let's go on, because we have some other roles to talk about. Now, the UI UX designer. Now, I've always thought that maybe the person who builds the website, who, since he knows some CSS, he can style it, and he builds the application, that we don't have the need for a UI UX designer. I've always thought this. But while building one of my products, I was actually asked to hire a UI UX designer. So this is the person who designs the product to be very easy to use and engaging and very beautiful. He makes sure that the workflow is very simple, so that doctors will not complain that this app is too difficult to navigate. So that the patients will not complain, oh, this particular app is better I use my paper than to be writing, to be using this application. It's the UI UX designer that does that. The UI UX designer does not build the inside. He doesn't build the model that's working in the background. He doesn't work to build the website or the app with those CSS and the HTML and JavaScript. He doesn't do that. It's the UI UX designer that does the design. So good design is the difference between the two that gets used and the one that gets ignored. And we are very good at ignoring some things that actually, we don't like, because, oh, this thing is not user-friendly. It's the UI UX designer that does that. So it's good you start knowing that you need a UI UX designer. However you find him or her in your team, you need this person. Now, I'm talking to us like people who want to actually carry their idea beyond an idea. You want to actually bet this innovation. You want to actually see it materialize, just like the doctor that was talking in that video. These are the things you need to know. And somehow they are not taught anywhere. Nobody teaches you that you need all these people in a team to be able to do all these things. Now, we need someone who is called a quality assurance engineer. Now, this role can actually be, taken up by the CTO, of course. But the CTO, in this case, is not working as the technical architect. He's working as the quality assurance engineer. So what does he do? He rigorously tests the solution, finding flaws, bugs, and vulnerabilities. And you know that healthcare is very important. You don't have vulnerabilities. You don't need to have your solution, people hack into it and leak your data. So all the privacy flaws must be taken care of. Somebody should be able to do this. And not only do it at the point of creation of the solution, but continuously monitor the solution to make sure that these things are in place all through the life cycle of that solution. That is very, very key. So whether one of the team members I have mentioned, takes this role, or you get an entirely new person to take this role is very, very important for you. All right. So that brings us to the regulatory and compliance lead. So while you are forming your team, somebody must be tasked with the duty of ensuring that you are complying by the rules and regulations of the digital community in your country. So Nigeria has a data regulatory agency. Other countries like the FDA, they have the FDA, the GDPR, the HIPAA, that person who is in charge of this role must make sure that your product is legal, is safe, and is compliant. And of course, you have to be incorporated. So you can't start talking to funders or to a venture capitalist or to people to take you serious if you have not incorporated their company. So who is supposed to take care of that? You must not be the one doing everything, running after what's it called? What's that company that registers companies in Nigeria? What's their name again? Somebody help me with their name. Corporate Affairs Commission. Yes. So somebody needs to do that aspect. So are you seeing how your team is coming together? Somebody needs to be in charge of your intellectual property so that no one steals your ideas if it is worth protecting. If it is worth protecting, somebody needs to actually be. And intellectual property is a very big topic. And we have another webinar down. We have another challenge coming up at the end of this year called the Digital Health Entrepreneurship Challenge. And that's where we'll be talking much more about raising funds, intellectual property, and some of all this stuff. But you need somebody to be in charge of that. Whether it is you that is in charge of that, or whether it is the CTO, or whether it's another person, there must be somebody who is actually tasked with this duty, and that person must take it serious. And I'm coming to actually team dynamics, because there are some people you give, and that makes your team very effective. Everyone now has his or her own duty. And that was the problem in my company in the year 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I went and brought a bunch of people who were just, they were just excited. They didn't have any skill. I didn't even know which role to place them. All the roles now fell on my head. They were just people who were happy. Oh, this thing is very good. This thing is very good. I want to be in your team. I want to be in your team. And because of that, I just onboarded friends and not role takers. And when I sat down and they apportioned the roles, do you know what they told me? Do you know what they told me? I should employ a secretary that will be in charge of those roles. Meanwhile, I have made them co-founders. That was really very, very heartbreaking. You have people in your team who are co-founders. You are trying to get them to take different roles that are important for your company to move ahead. However, none of them could actually fit into any of these roles. So when you're actually composing your team, you have to list all the roles that are to be taken. And before you invite anybody into your team or to co-founder position, make sure he fits into one of those roles. If you already have someone taking one of those roles, don't bring in another person to take that role. Look for people who can take care of the other roles, because you need all roles to be actually taken, unless you want to actually carry out all these things yourself. Since you don't even have money, how are you going to be like employing people to take leads in all these roles? So when you are building your team, you have to be very, very careful. And this very, very important one, the marketing and the business development lead. So you see that there are some people are very good in building, but some people are good in telling stories. So some people are good at actually building relationships that gets your solution into the hands of the hospitals, the clients, and the patients. So you need somebody in your team that can tell stories, that has very good communication skills. Both can appear in a video and make a very good presentation that can actually stand before innovate to be funders, to be able to tell them story with your solution that will move them to fund your solution. So let's say that all you have is you, the visionary, and you have the CTO who is building the model, and both of you, none of you can tell stories. Your solution will go nowhere. You need to bring in someone in the team who has a very big social following, who has a very good communication skill. And this person will also work on your funding and financials. He will be able to develop your digital marketing channels, including email and social marketing, and also physical marketing. This person can serve also as the product manager that I mentioned before. You need someone like this. I don't know who to actually give it as an example right now, because when I was building, as I'm building this, my current product, I didn't opt to be the marketing and business development lead. Even though I can tell stories to an extent, I had to go get someone else. And I had to make it a lady. Somehow people are now appealing to ladies. You understand? They want to tell you, oh, women dominated, femtech and all those stuff. So you need a female in your team. And this may be somewhere the female or the lady can actually work, because you need to build relationships. You need to actually visit the what do you call, the chief medical officer, and be able to sell the solution to the chief medical officer. If you cannot tell stories, if you cannot build relationships, your solution will go nowhere. So you need somebody like this. Even as you're thinking of building, you know how to build, you can design the model. Can you sell the products? You need someone who can sell the products. And that is the marketing and the business development lead. And there are different ways you can sell the products. So let's say that this person is very good in oral communication and building relationships. This person can now train to, widen his or her horizon in digital marketing also, because you need email marketing, you need social media marketing, you need all these dynamics. Even if he's not the one that's going to do all these things, but at least he will be there to oversee the people you employ to do all these things, so that you will have the time and opportunity to focus on more important things than running after prospects. Somebody needs to run after the prospects for you. Somebody needs to have relationship with their funding agencies. Somebody has to run after all these people, make sure that email marketing is set and running. Make sure that your social media marketing is set and running when you are ready to actually launch. So what are the essential core skills for your team? Know that this is not individual skills. All of us already have some wired soft skills within us. And we can develop them, we can pick up new ones, we can become better at them. But the team, for it to be cohesive, needs some essential soft skills. And that's where we are heading to now. So I've mentioned all the teams. So I mentioned the CTO, the visionary, the technical person, the guy. I mentioned the person who is building the model. I've mentioned the business development lead. I've mentioned a lot of other team members that your solution actually needs. But how do you build a cohesive team? Your team needs some skills, some soft skills that can keep them together. So communication is one thing that is very, very important. It's very, very important. So you need to be able to communicate with the technical team what the problem is, so that they don't build a solution that is far away from reality. So you need to be able to translate those medical understanding you have to the technical team. Maybe your CTO is not even a healthcare professional. He's a complete computer engineer, not even from any life science distance. He's a core electrical engineer or core computer scientist. He doesn't have any medical knowledge. You need to be able to communicate with him. Do you see why we are saying you need to learn Python? You need to learn the language of these people who are building these things. You need to learn their jargon. You need to learn some basic CSS, if possible. Or at least your CTO must be able to be able to communicate with this technical team. You need to learn some aspect of their language so that you could speak fluently and they will understand. So there should be a cross communication, a very fluent one, between the clinical team and the technical team. It's very, very important. And communication also has to do with how you communicate with the team members. All right, so the curiosity. So always, whenever the team is building, they should be asking, why are we building what we are building? The why is actually what everybody should actually focus on. Good. Now, collaboration is one important aspect of this, team culture. Everyone who is in the team, you must make everyone in the team feel like he is the owner of the solution that you are building. And this gives you psychological safety. So everyone is actually the owner of the solution. You, the CTO, the marketing person, whoever is in the team must feel like they must feel ownership. It's a shared ownership. If not, your team is not going to make any progress. If you really want to move your team faster forward, they have to have shared ownership. And that's what some people, begin to like propose, that when it comes to equity, and we've not really talked about equity. When it comes to equity, equity should be the same for everybody. But that may not be always the truth. But everyone should have enough equity to be able to have shared ownership in whatever you are building. And that is when they can deliver their best. So it's not very uncommon to see people who are building solutions and they assemble a team of 4 persons and they give every person flat and same equity. It means that the visionary is not greedy, but they should be able to merit it for you to give them the same equity across board. So far, so good. I don't know, are we actually following this? I just stopped sharing, but I want to be sure that we are following this. If you are following what I'm saying and if you are getting value from it, please type yes. Type yes in the chat. Or just react. I want to know whether people are getting value from this, whether they are following what I'm saying. Just anyhow you want to do it. Okay, good and fine. All right, I see some reassurance. I see some reassurances on the, okay. So I'm going to share once more and then continue our discuss. Okay, good and fine. Now, when it comes to designing for healthcare, clinical empathy is very, very important. So you have seen some people who just build because they just want to build. They want to build and make money. Healthcare is not like financial sector. Lives are at stake. So let's say you build a model and the model is giving errors. You know that the model is giving error. There is no way you should actually deploy that model because it can kill somebody. And that is what's called clinical empathy. So the engineers may not even understand the weight of your models making mistakes and killing people. You know that this is a high-stake environment and it can have great impact on the life of patients. And because of that, you want to build something that really saves lives and not destroy lives. And that's clinical empathy. So don't be motivated by gain. Make sure that your team understands that is not gain they're after. They are after actually saving lives and not actually pursuing gains, monetary gains. And that's why they should build according to specifications, according to the why, according to the clinical problem that actually made this solution possible in the first place. And that is what is called clinical empathy. Now, I won't go deep into this because we talked about it in our first presentation when the great Oyeta talked about context, the African context. It's very, very important. So we know there is low bandwidth, of course. You know, the hardware is a problem, data and trust payments, and all this stuff. You understand? They are all problems. You should always have them at the back of your mind. And your team members should always know this. So that anything they are designing or doing, everybody is working with this at the back of their mind. Now, there is what is called interoperability, and I think it has been stressed in the last 2 meetings, so I'm not going to go into it, but I want to say why it matters. Now, if whatever you are building is not interoperable, patient's data cannot flow from one point of care to another point of care. So you need your solution to have a universal language so that it can be used in any country, in any what do you call it, operating system. It can actually work with any EMR. It can sync into anything that is healthcare solution. It's very, very important. If not, you'll be building in silos. It means that you have your app, it can only work in this particular type of phone. You have your app, it can only work in with this particular network. It can't work in the other network. You understand? It can only work in this operating system. It can't work in this operating system. It cannot work. It cannot talk to this EMR because this EMR is built by this company Z. Because it's built by this company Z, therefore, this app cannot speak to it. But if you want to make your tool valuable and serve a larger health system, you need to understand what is interoperability. So that's also one of the concepts we'll be talking about when we come to Digital Health Entrepreneurship Challenge. All right. So the founder, and that is you. Let's get back to you again. So what is your ultimate responsibility for your team? So everything is on you. You are carrying the weight. And in most cases, some of those team members you have actually assembled may not even care so much because they did not originate the vision. Some of them might not even care so much to like stay awake in the night to work on this solution. You may be the one who is having sleepless nights, who is keeping awake day after day to ensure that this becomes something, because you know that the pain of the patients needs to be solved. So you are the one who has the vision. You know, the weight of everything is on your shoulder, as they say, the weight of everything is on your shoulder. So you need to decide the long-term goals of your company. You need to keep the entire team focused on the real problem. And it's very, very important. Some members of your team may not even understand this. They don't even care where you are going. They just care what is happening maybe they get a grant and then they share the money. That's what is in their mind, you understand? And maybe they make this X and Y money. But you, that may not be your real reason for actually betting this particular innovation. So your vision, you must continue to put it before everyone who is in your team. And now, when it comes to driving conversation, you are the one to drive the conversation within all these co-founders. And when we talk of investors, you should drive the conversation, even though that the business development expert who is in your team also has some things to do with pitching. But you, as a founder, has so much to do with the pitching. So you are going to be doing a lot of pitching before accelerators. You are going to be doing pitching before founders or venture capitalists, VCs, and all these health tech venture capitalists. You'll be doing a lot of pitching, talking to people about the solution, and you should be the one leading this. Even though anybody in your team can actually do that, but it's actually the onus is on you to be the one leading this conversation. And of course, ultimately, you are accountable to your team and to the investors for the financial health of your company. If your company fails, it's on you. If you succeed, no one will be looking for all those your co-founders. It's you, the originator, that bears the real burden. And that's why it says innovation and this kind of thing is not for everyone. That's the truth. It's not for everyone. So either you learn and become and work in a team under somewhere or maybe for a company and get paid for it. But if you really want to be an innovator, a founder, the weight of everything will lie on you. And in most cases, you will just be like, you'll be in a wilderness of your own, trying to sort out the problems, trying to keeping awake, trying to make sure that things work, trying to keep your team together, and also trying to make sure you don't like fail those investors who are investing in you. It's very, very clear. And this is actually where I might decide to stop, because it's actually everything that I had to say. So it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one. From just a clinical idea to a market-ready product, it's very, very challenging. But because of your expertise in healthcare, your domain expertise, it gives you an advantage over those who don't even have any healthcare expertise. Start by defining your why and stick to it. Then find talented people who believe in that why and make them your team members. Don't go for your friends to make them your team members. Look for talented people who believe in that and they have specific roles within your team. Don't make that mistake of getting somebody who has nothing to. Don't get a big mouth who can only talk, has nothing to contribute to your team. I've made that mistake over and over again in the past. You see people because they can talk, and yet they cannot do anything strategic. They can't even fit into any of those roles I mentioned. They will just derail you. In fact, they will so sap you that you'll get discouraged along the way. And then you'll be finding ways of trying to get them out of the team. But because you have given them equity already, they're already team members, it will look like it's unjust to like push them out of the team. You've already gotten them in. Don't make the mistake don't make the mistake many people make. Don't waste people's time. Lead effective meetings. Lead effective team, engagements. You are busy as a healthcare professional. So is everyone. If you see people who waste people's time, you give them tasks and they are not even doing the tasks, please get them out. And that's why when you are constituting your team, nobody should become a permanent team member immediately. There should be a time of probation when you watch what they can do, maybe 6 months, after which you can actually bring them as the rightful team members. If you now see there are character traits in them that cannot fit into the final picture you want, please get them out and bring people who understand the why and are ready. They are not there to waste your time or to make you carry extra load. If not, you'll be the one doing their own part of the whole thing, and then it will drag your team down. So you can do this. If you can actually do this AI and data literacy challenge, you can do it as a healthcare professional. You've got the idea, you've got the basic understanding. Now is the time to start putting your ideas into a product. And I'm happy to announce that towards the end of this year, we will launch the Digital Health Entrepreneurship Challenge. It will move you from that idea stage to actually bringing it to bed. But at least now you already know what your team should look like. Start looking around the community. Start looking around the community. Go to LinkedIn. Start thinking of people who are thinking the same way, who have this kind of thing. Start thinking of conceptualizing your team. If you're already building, you don't have a team, start thinking of building a team. If you have all these people in your team, definitely you'll do wonders. That is where I am going to stop. And then I'm going to call on anyone who has any question, who has anything to say, any comment, any additional insight you want. And then in the next 6 minutes, we should be done. So I see in the chat, okay, yes. Cascading style sheet, that's yes. So I'm going to stop sharing. So all this while I've not, yeah, okay, good. All right, so any questions, any comments, anything to say, any insights? All right, so I'm going to call upon you. Unfortunately, we don't have people who are moderators. So I'm moderating and presenting at the same time. So Edidion Moses, you can go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, Edidion, Duru, just a minute. Moses, you can go ahead.
Hello, everyone. First of all, Mr. Kennedy, I actually want to thank you for this topic. It has really entered my backbone. It is just an advice. I'm just asking for an advice. I am actually into the tech space, and I actually want to build a team. And from what you have said so far, you said that whenever you're building a team, you should assign a role. So I'm just looking in this aspect. If I want to gather people that I want to share my vision with, how can I make sure that they are going to take up roles while I'm trying to gather them? Because that has been one of the problems. You will like go to LinkedIn or you will go to any social gathering and you be like, oh, I want to build a solution, and everybody is so interested to join. But the problem is when you bring them in and you're like, okay, I want you to take up this role, they'll be like, no, that is not what they want to do. So I actually want advice on how to attach role to people so that they'll be able to take up the role and they won't be like, oh, it is all about money, but also to take up the responsibility of making this come to pass. So just an advice. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for that. And yeah, I noticed you're already building something, and that's lovely. Now, and I told you it was a very big mistake personally I made in 2018, and which many people are making. Just going to LinkedIn is not enough. I think where you could start is before you even gather people, define the roles, define the touch points where you know you need help, so that anyone who is coming in, you present them the roles that are available. If they say they want to take up that particular role, good. You now do a background check on them and see if they can actually fit in that role. Go and check their portfolio. Go and check what they have built or what they are building or what they've done in the past, and see if they actually fulfill that role in the past, or whether their portfolio fills that particular role, which you have actually put out there for them, and they said, yes, I can do this role. Go and do a background check. And if you are satisfied, that's the only time you can actually agree. And even if that person joins you, you still give the person a probation period. Don't trust, just don't be too trusting, because you'll get derailed. People will just mess you up. So first of all, define those roles. And I have given us examples. I'm going to share this. Even the PowerPoint presentation is going to be available on the website. So you'll be able to scroll through and see those roles. Identify those roles that are very important for your team. Now start bringing in, showing those roles to people. And when they show interest, go back and look at, don't be in a haste, please. Don't even be in a haste to build a solution in 6 months. Go back and see what they are capable of and bring them in after you've confirmed that they can do that. And even when you have confirmed and brought them in, don't still give them, they have to earn their equity. And this is not the time to talk about equity, but we'll talk about that. The time is coming. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Okay. So Duru Johnson, you can go now.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the detailed session with you. I'm usually not opportune to attend most of the sessions, but whenever I attend, I'm always encouraged. So, fortunately enough, today I've been deciding all this while, but today I went to put it down. I had a chat with ChatGPT. I dropped in some prompt of what my vision is, and then it basically gave me like phases of implementation and everything. But I'm currently on the page where I had to like fold up the stuff, the whole phase it gave me. Why? Because of two things. Number one was you mentioned this MVP. You mentioned that minimum viable product and also MVP team as well. So first off, that MVP, is it something that can be made by yourself? Like, since you say it's a skeleton, is it something that you will just like, is there a way you will make something that then you will now show it to people out there? Or is it just the idea written on the book that you will even use to recruit your MVP team? Then secondly, the idea I put in, I want it to be virtual. That is something I'll be able to work with on a system AI. But along the line, I had to like also get physical contact. I had to get physical contact with hospitals. As I put in that I'm in Lagos, it was directing me that I have to I have to make alliance with hospitals around me and this and that. So I'm curious, is there a way one can make it strictly digital online? Probably maybe when the MVP is ready, then they will now be able to take it into product stage. And then thirdly, my third question is the money. Yeah, the budget I'm seeing, according to what is generated for me, it was a 6 month plan that generated for me, and the first month $1,200. That's the budget that was generating for me. And currently, I myself, I don't even have up to 20% of that, or even way less. So that's for the MVP, just for the MVP that you're talking about, for that money. So that MVP now, I'm sure that you need the MVP before you now go and start talking to investors. How are you going to afford to create that MVP without any substantial funds? Is there a way that one can source for funds, or does it have to be personal funds before you are able to make that MVP with perhaps your MVP team members? Thank you.
All right. I know you asked 3 questions, but I still remember the last one. So in the last one, you asked about the MVP and how to build it, especially if it requires money. Since you don't have money, how are you even going to raise money to build that? Okay. All right. So building an MVP, actually, it depends on who you are. So if you're a technical person, if you are someone like me that already has some coding knowledge, or you have some ability to build like machine learning models and build some of these things. Now, building them and they are just there in your laptop, and you could see that if you use it, it works. That's like an MVP because you already have a model. So that model alone is like an MVP. Okay, let's even say that it's not something like a model. You could build a WordPress website that actually shows what you want to do. A case in point is what I did. So let me share this with us. Let me go here quickly. I don't know if I should be able to. So sometime last year, I built this MVP. So because I know how to build WordPress website, and building a WordPress website does not require code. It does not require coding. So it's something that anybody can learn. So there are tools that are used for building minimum viable products. So it could be that you just build that model because you know how to build it. It could be that you just use WordPress website to state exactly what your solution can do, and they be able to demonstrate that it can do that. So I built this website and demonstrated that it could work. You understand? Using the WordPress website, that it could work. So WordPress website is something that you could use to build your MVP. Now, your MVP also might even be that you just use Figma. So who knows what is Figma? F-I-G, Figma. Figma. So if you're unable to build, something because you lack the technical know-how, if you're unable to build something just because you lack the technical know-how, I will have to stop sharing now because of some sensitive stuff. What you need to do is you can quickly get someone who can build, who can start building some of those solutions. And because that person, and that should be maybe your chief technology officer. So their chief technology officer or the technical architect should be able to build those things with tools that don't require you to spend any money. So that answers the aspect of your money. What of money? So you could actually start building things without using money. There are many free things online that can help you to build an MVP without spending so much money. And because that your CTO, your technical officer knows how to do it, you are not hiring him, you are not paying him. He's just part of the company. So he can actually help you do that. So just him alone, you already started building. And one thing that you don't need to build sophisticated things before you validate it. Because when you build an MVP, you need to validate that the MVP is workable. And through pitching and through going through some acceleration, challenges and all those stuff, pitching and validation and having feedbacks, you will refine your ideas and even know whether your idea is something that is going to scale or not, so that you can stop before you go too far and lose so much money to build something that no one will use. You understand? So you could start building small with no money using the intelligence of your CTO and using his skills. Or if you yourself already have some of those skills, you can start building. So in my case, I could build the MVP because I knew how to build websites without using so much code. I knew basic CSS, I knew basic all those things. I knew how to edit a CSS, HTML, Java, I knew all those stuff. And I was able to use them to build the MVP. But my knowledge is not to the extent that to build the entire product. That's why I had to get the CTO on board to start working with me. So if you don't have any knowledge at all to be able to build anything, by all means, you will need the technical officer early on. But if you already have some knowledge, you can actually start building and bring in the CTO later on. Do you understand that? So the money depends on if you already have some knowledge, if you have a CTO you are building with or not. And the truth is that when you start pitching and some people are start actually taking interest, you will start making some money in terms of funding to start building things that really matter. You will now like revamp what you're building. It's always the case. So I don't know whether that answers your final question, but I had difficulty like making out what you meant by your second question.
I was talking about the connecting with physical facilities. Is it possible to
Okay.
do this
Okay.
online?
So connecting with physical facilities, is it in terms of your solution, selling your solution to them?
That will come in the later part, but this one is even like testing the product, because
Yeah.
what I working on is something, what I'm like looking to work on is something like a diagnostic tools.
Okay, I
I was
understand.
thinking of,
I understand. So it is that you are a business development partner that should be able to do that. So you really need to, if you after you have built the minimum viable product, you need to test it. You have to walk up to an institution and tell them that, okay, maybe can we conduct a pilot study with this tool? Okay, can we do a research with this tool? Can we actually do something to generate some evidence and test this solution? You have to be able to do that. And your chief marketing officer should be able to walk up to whoever is in charge of that institution to actually get a yes. There is no way you could test a solution without having to, test it with the real users. You need to be able to do that. Even if the testing is just about creating a survey and passing it around with your colleagues or to other people to tell them, oh, I'm doing a marketing survey for this solution. Do you think it's going to be cool? What features do you think? All those things have to be done. And it's the marketing person that has to like come up with all those stuff, unless you are assuming the role of your marketing officer. Your marketing officer should be able to go do those things on behalf of the company, on behalf of the team. That's why I say you need a team. And there is no way you can do everything virtually. Some of these things really need to be done physically, tested physically, like implemented physically. So you need someone who can do that. And you need someone in the team who can assume that role. So the person knows that it is his or her own role to make sure that these aspects of this solution is taken care of, unless you will be the one to do it. And as your solution gains traction, you are pitching and more people are getting interested, you are engaging in all these acceleration stuff, you see people start putting in money to help you do those things. That 1,002 you are talking of will become no money in the long run. It doesn't happen automatically. But as you move and people see the why and they see that is a good enough why, they will rally to your help to make that solution a possible one. So does that answer that question?
yes, it does. Thank you.
Do you still have another question? Because I know you asked so many questions. I wasn't able to keep track of all of them.
Yeah, you were able to answer them in the explanation. Thank you.
And again, one thing you can do is that you can now reach out to me personally, then we can talk more, being specific with respect to the solution you're working on.
All right, so thank you very much.
Good. Prompt engineering is also, it can help a lot. So using ChatGPT or Google Gemini to ask questions about some of these things is a very important tool. And that's why we have another solution, another webinar called Prompt. So if you look at that down there, you see prompt engineering in AI and data. So it's very important to know how, and some of you even took some prompt engineering courses in the AI and data literacy challenge inside Data Camp. So prompt engineering is something that is very, very important. You could see how all these tools tie together. Whether you are just learning for learning's sake, learning to get employed, or learning to build something, everything is tied together. All right. So thank you, Duru Johnson and the Edidion Moses for those insights. And with this, I think there are no other questions. The slides which were used for this presentation, they are going to be shared, and then we'll be here again tomorrow. So tomorrow, this is what we have. Let me quickly share what we have tomorrow. So tomorrow, if I go to MIT website and I go to the challenge portal under initiatives, my website is loading slowly. Yeah, so if I go to the challenge, learn more, and then I scroll down the page, I want to show us what we have tomorrow and what we have for the rest of the week. So this is it. And this is where you go to grab the link, please. Anytime you are lost, please go to this page and grab the link. So tomorrow is Tuesday. We have Python and Arrow programming, Ask Me Anything. So for those who have done some Python stuff or Arrow programming stuff, there are mentors that are going to be available tomorrow to answer all your questions, including their application. And it's 4 p.m. West African time. I hope this time is correct. All right. So this is the link, whichever time. And then on Wednesday, data science, ML, DL, and AI, Ask Me Anything. And then prompt engineering in healthcare, Thursday, October 16, this is the time. Power BI and all those data analysis tools. And then very, very important, don't miss this one for anything. Guys, health tech and digital health careers in AI and data. This is going to be the penultimate, webinar for this challenge. It's very, very important that you show up here because you'll be thinking, how do I apply all these things that I have learned? It is here that you will see some of those careers in AI and data, whether it is becoming a founder. Becoming a founder is a career path in AI and data. And that's the one I so much am interested in. But it's not the only career path in AI and data. There are many other career paths in AI and data. You mustn't build, you mustn't become a founder. You can just join a team and become a team member. You can also join the other career paths in AI and data. I don't want to start mentioning them. I don't want to start opening this. So make sure you actually show up on this day. You will see a lot of other career paths that what you have learned under AI and DLC 2025 can actually push you to. So maybe you are finding these other ones we are talking about somehow complex. I'm not the building type. There are many other career paths and they will be trashed out on that day. So with this, I say thank you all for joining. And I see MRI Medic. MRI Medic, are you here? Dr. Ron? I see Dr. Ron.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Yeah. So Dr. Ron is going to be the one to take us on the AI and data career path in digital health come Saturday. So do you have any comments for today's section? I know you have so much insights. You are my senior colleague in this.
Well, I'll just say it's been very insightful. Most times some of these things, when you keep attending, you keep picking up new stuff, even when you think, oh, it's something I know, but something still rings, oh, okay, I never thought of this from this angle and all of that. So it's a good one, really. Thank you.
All right. So thank you all for showing up and see you guys tomorrow. For only those who are in the Python and Arrow, the track should show up tomorrow. If you want to show up, no wahala, no problem. Just choose the one, your Ask Me Anything section, the one that corresponds to the courses you took during the AI and DLC. And start working on your proposal, guys. Start working on your proposal. You have your proposals to submit very soon. Your proposal could be a written proposal of the solution. It could also be a video submission. And as I told us, video submissions are weighted higher. Like when you're building an AI model, there are things called weights. And I'm happy that some people already know what is weights. You can see that. Like some people didn't know that there are things called weights in building AI models. But just in a matter of few days, they already know what weights are. It's very, very important. So there is more weighting to video presentation than written presentation. So see you guys. Bye, everyone. I'm going to stop recording now. and I will see us again.